on this computer. Okay. So what we wanted to do was to really kind of get a refocus, because at this point in time, with a lot of turmoil and all this kind of uncertainty about lots and lots of different things going on, we thought, actually, let's kind of put something we can control into perspective, and just kind of give you something that you can really focus on, because I know that for us, that's really helped. And so I was looking at quotes, because I love quotes, and I could not find one that just says this: success is something you plan. And actually, the whole way through our lives, whenever we've decided to do something, we've actually made a plan. Even if it wasn't a written down plan, we've planned to execute something. So for example, if that was, I want to do well in my maths exam when you were at school, or I want to do well in my test, you planned to revise to do that test. So even if it's tiny little things, it's about putting things into place and practicing them. But then this next quote that I found, which I absolutely love, and I think that it's a really true statement. So to achieve great things, which is what we're trying to achieve with doTERRA, is two things are needed: a plan and not quite enough time. And I think often we kind of go, I really don't have enough time to do this, I haven't got enough time to do that. But actually, that's the only time that we kind of activate more effectively. If we know we don't have enough time to do what we need to do, we get it done much faster. And so it's kind of putting that into your head that it's okay to not have enough time. It's just about getting things done as quickly as possible in the time that you have, and knowing that it actually builds that momentum and you can achieve great things.
But also, the key thing about that, where we don't quite have enough time, is that before this whole unusual situation happened, that was very much the case. We'd be pulled from pillar to post and sort of overstretching ourselves. What we've sort of consolidated with ourselves and getting our sort of selves right over the last sort of week and a half is actually, now is actually the best time, because people are needing social interaction, whether that's a phone call, whether it's Zoom, whether it's messaging. And now is the time that people are so open to what doTERRA is, and that is building relationships as farmers. And so that's where this quote really comes in, is that at the moment we have that time.
Absolutely, thank you. Okay, so our role in this, I think, is very much to support you to unlock your potential and give you the tools and the skills and all of those things, the things, because it is your business, but we want to support you to be able to achieve what you really want to be able to achieve. So we kind of, when I was looking at how we could kind of put this together for you guys, I thought, actually, you know, it really needs to be quite specific, so that you kind of know, okay, this is what I need to achieve, tick, and then you can move on to the next step. And so what I would like you to really think about is what your main goals are with doTERRA. So what rank do you want to be achieving, and when do you want to achieve it by? And actually physically write that down. When we did this process, we really worked towards that date, and we were actually able to achieve it. And I'm not, and I have never been the best at writing things down, but when I do, it's a very different thing, and it actually is something that really works so much more successfully. Like I said, that planning, if you plan, you can achieve those things. Then it's looking at personal development. There are so many amazing books and podcasts and videos, and you really like...
Yeah, I'm a visual learner.
Yeah.
So yeah, podcasts and videos for me work amazingly. Books for me, they're great, and it's great, but I use them more as a resource.
Mm-hmm. And then also the webinar training. We are so lucky. We've got amazing connections, especially with the Lee Shedavis, workshops and things like that. So the daily mentor calls, that is a step-by-step. If you're somebody who likes to have a process that's very structured, then this is available to us. It is completely free, and it's very much step-by-step. Then we've got
team call on Monday at 8:30 p.m. So these team calls are absolutely crucial because it helps you see what others are doing, things that have been tried and tested, but also it gives you that interaction of that boost as well. So it's the same as when we have our doTERRA events. They're there for a reason, and that is because in any business, we will go up and then we'll have these little ups and downs, and those are the pick-me-ups. Those are the essential parts of going, I never thought of that before, etc.
Absolutely. So the team call on a Monday at 8:30, also it does a couple of things. It doesn't only just support you in boosting you, but it also shows us that you are dedicated and that you are really wanting to do this as a business and make those changes and really go forwards with it, because they are specific trainings on how to build your business. If somebody just constantly isn't on those calls, but then is asking for a lot of our time, it's kind of this double-edged sword where we're like, well, it is a commitment, and that is showing us that you are committed, and somebody who is committed, of course we're going to give our time for them. So that's basically, it's a two-way street in all and in any business, that, you know, if somebody wants to run, we will run with them. If somebody wants to walk, then we will walk with them. So it depends on what you want to do and how you want to do it. But those Monday team calls are so key to your developing of the knowledge in the business. So the business key skills. So for example, last Monday, it was about, doing and getting those people online, back office. So looking at how the back office works, all those sorts of things that you don't want to do in one go because it's too much to take in. So having a tiny little chunk every single Monday, that kind of bite-sized bits, is the best way to just build and develop your knowledge of the business. Then we have doTERRA. Like I said before, they have so many key elements in terms of resources for us to use, and they have a thing called Success Schedule, and again, that's one that you can just literally download and fill in yourselves. But again, this is kind of us going over what we're going to be focusing on over the next few weeks, because we want to make sure that we're supporting you every single week and step by step to get through this weird time, but actually not making it a weird time, making it a really time to thrive in your doTERRA business. When so many other things are struggling, we actually can really make this a success. So, accountability. So it's looking at what you can do for yourself to actually move your business forward, because obviously this is your business. And so having a resource book so that you know how to use it when somebody maybe potentially asks you about an ailment that they have going on. So it's just then knowing how to use it. And then it's that mindset of how this type of business works. So you wanted to share a little bit about the Eric Worre, didn't you?
Yeah, so Eric Worre is an amazing person in the network marketing business realm. And for me personally, he is one that has, that it just stood out for me. I've read parts of The Slight Edge, and it's a great book. And so that might be for you. But Eric Worre does lots on podcasts, and he actually interviewed, I've forgotten her name now, the health lady from doTERRA. Oh, what's her name?
Oh my gosh, Shanaz would know.
Shanaz, you did her thing.
Hayley Hobson.
Yes!
There you go. So he did a 2.5-hour interview with Hayley Hobson. So go and look at that. She tells you her journey. But Eric Worre really breaks it down in basically in network marketing. How he gives an analogy of basically there's the rabbit and the hare story, and in the real world, the tortoise or the actually wins the race. He said, well, in network marketing, it's actually the hare that wins the race, because it's short, sharp speeds of bursts. So you'll have a period of time where you'll go, right, I'm going to start contacting people, building that relationship. Then I'll slow down for a bit, and then I'll go again and go again. And so when I heard that and read his book, Go Pro, it was amazing. It changed a lot of things for me.
Yeah. And a lot of the time people say, you know, I want physical things that I can do, but so much of this type of business is that mindset and kind of knowing, right, well, I need to know what's impacting on me. So quite a lot of you may never have done a network marketing business before. And so it's kind of seeing it that it is a very viable business, but it is a different type of business. And with that, you want to become that professional at that job. And so that's what the Go Pro means. So it's becoming a professional network marketer. In obviously we have the doTERRA side to that as well, but all the steps that he looks at, it actually really helps you to evaluate, you know, in a really sensible way, how this is a very effective business.
Yeah, and he actually says in his videos and his podcasts, one of the best and most successful network marketing guys was not because he approached people about what he does or anything. He was a 75-year-old man, and he was amazing at what he does for the one reason was that he took an interest in other people and he built that relationship. So he didn't go up to them and say, hey, I use da, 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 da. He says, hey, what do you do? I'd like to know more about you. What hobbies do you do? And he starts it off that way. And how he always says, be part of the community, or you know, get involved and then share what you do.
Absolutely. Okay, so then other, like, you know, having things available to support, so having mini sample vials ready to send us samples and really start sampling people and finding that need. Now more so than ever, Facebook is a really amazing place to find needs. You'll have people posting about things that are either stressing them out or frustrating them, or that they're feeling low, or they're not, you know, not feeling well and things like that. It's just picking up and messaging to say, I've got something that might really help you. Would you like me to send it to you? And I have never once had someone say no in the whole time. So it is, people feel that you care about them, and that's a really nice thing, to be reached out and you know, to really get personal on their needs.
And another way of being personal that you may have not considered, and you'd have had a message from me like it before, some people are actually enjoying having a voice memo message because they get to hear your voice, they get to hear the tone and hear the intent that it's coming from. It doesn't work for everybody, but it's just something that's different.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Okay, so then it's kind of knowing your stuff to a certain extent. As you go along on this journey, you pick up you know, things that have really worked for you, things that work well for different friends and family, and you'll see it along the way. But just knowing how to utilize the books and other resources to be able to support you. Can you wait, I'm just going to put that chat up there. Can you check that, please, yeah, Jonathan? Because I can't. So basically, if we look at so we were talking about where did you want to get, by what date, and what time frame. So this is the average income by rank and looking at the time frame. Now this is not talking about how many hours to put in to these ranks, but it's looking at the monthly and how long it would potentially take to get there. But what we're going to talk about is the key steps to achieve those in different time frames, and also how to get there at the moment. So the success schedule, this is so key to the business actually moving forwards. Now, at the beginning of this call, we talked about, if you are doing this as a business, this is between a 10 a 20 hour plus business. If you are serious about this making you money, then that is what you're kind of dedicating to. Now that will vary for different people, and some weeks you may do 10 hours, some weeks you may do, 15, and it will change and vary. At the moment, with so much online support, the amount of time that you're potentially spending may actually be slightly less in the class and presentation time, but that means you can push that time into your contacting and making sure that you're supporting and sampling people. So every day it's making those contacts. So whether that's a ping or message at the moment, whether that's picking up the phone and making those phone calls, then having that 30 minutes of the personal development. So, you know, whether that's reading a bit of the book or watching some webinars or some YouTube videos about how to really build your doTERRA business, and then following up. Following up is the key element to this business, like the number one, I would say, over and above, you know, getting stuff done. And if that's something that you find more difficult, you literally have to set an alarm and schedule it in, because otherwise it will not happen. If it's something that you're not as comfortable with, it's something that then becomes more difficult and you push it out. So plan it in.
But also the follow-up is not just about you. It's about the people that you've sampled or that you've connected with previously. And I'll give you an example. There's a lady that I sampled a week and a half ago. She does home cooking on a massive scale for basically kind of like a Meals on Wheels sort of thing. And her hands are absolutely starting to crack and are sore. And she said, please, could I have something for my hands? And I said, yep, here's a sample. This is how you use it. I'll be in touch in a few days. Now, me thinking that she will just start using it because her hands are starting to get really sore from the constant washing, believe it or not, she didn't. So I contacted her 3 days later and said, hey, how are you doing? How's your hands? I hope you're getting some relief. And she said, oh, thank you so much for reminding me. They're on my bedside. I haven't used them yet. I'm going to do it tonight. And then she sent me a video the next day of her doing it, didn't she?
Yeah, she did it in a group, didn't she?
Yeah,
on a Facebook group.
She did it in a group that we're in. And so it actually took for me to follow up to remind her that she just genuinely, it was out of her mind. So that's why we also follow up, is that some people will actually, you know, sometimes they'll forget and they'll go, oh, right, yes, okay. So yeah, that's so important.
Absolutely. And then basically it's also with the class attendees. So at the moment it's slightly different in terms of, you know, you'll be sending out that sample, following up with them, talking to them about their experiences and inviting them to the online classes. Now, once the online class is finished, it says in the online class that they need to text the top 3 ailments to you. Somebody might not manage to do that, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't be contacting them straight away. So either in a phone call, if it's too late, just give them a text and say, I will call you tomorrow, and then make that call, because it means you care enough about them to take time out of your day to really touch base with them. Then on a weekly basis, so it's looking at these classes, like I said, these are all online at the moment. You need to try really hard to funnel your people into these classes. So we have had, you know, really great success with the online classes recently, because people understand this is the only option we have at the moment. And so it's about, okay, let's just choose this as our new reality, but it means you can get more people from all over the place to feel the same and to feel connected. So it's a really, really amazing way to do it. Then once, say for example, they do get the oils, it's again following up with them and making sure that you look after them as well.
But they've also got the community as well.
Yes.
That helps look after them too.
Totally. And then it's again weekly, so having those mentor calls. So with us, so this is a really, really good way, like, you know, on a weekly basis. But then if you feel like actually I want to have an additional one-to-one, then let's set up that time on a weekly basis to make sure that you feel supported the way you want to be supported. And then making sure you share between 3 and 5 samples a week. Then attending the trainee, so like the online class, looking at your LRP order, and then just looking at what your goals are and reevaluating them and making sure you plan for the 3 months ahead. This is a longevity program, isn't it, really? So what we do now actually kind of impacts on the following month or even the month afterwards. So it really, really helps to have those plans in place. So if you are, for example, doing a 16-hour week, then you would just literally look at, well, where am I fitting these hours in, how am I doing that? And you can see that the majority of your time spent in this business would be contacting and follow up, because that's the key money making activities. We often talk about money making activities and what best time is spent on. And for example, alphabetizing and color coordinating your oils is not a money making activity. Even though your oils might look nice, that's not going to bring any money in. So it's really making sure that in the priority, that those key elements are really, really there as a main focus. And then again, so these are just different time frames. So the first person and the second person. So this, for example, is just upping the hours a little bit more. Okay, so online. So what we wanted to make sure that we kind of talked about today was, well, what do you physically do yourself? So you still need to be making those contacts, sending out those samples and following up. So that is absolutely key. That has not changed at all. Then the next step is making sure that you get your contacts to the online classes. Yeah. Again, it is so key that they learn and understand why these oils are different. Then it's calling them afterwards, and this is where the close happens. So what you will probably want to do is learn the close and practice the close so that you can do it over the phone. So I have a mini video that talks about the 3 ways of buying doTERRA, but it's also about looking at how you phrase that. When you're doing a physical class, the close is where you come over and you don't say, what kit are you looking at? You would then say to them, okay, what are we dealing with? So they're feeling that you're looking at their needs. So that's why we say, make sure you text your 3 top ailments. If they have, that opens your conversation so much better. Plus, you have had time to look up and see what it is that's going to support them the best. One of my top tips is to make sure that you are looking at oils in the top 10 core essential oils. If they have an ailment, for example, let me think. So just think of an ailment. For example, ear infection, okay? Let's say that their top main priority is ear infection. When you look up ear infection, it will come up with lavender, melaleuca tea tree, and basil. You're not going to say you need these 3 oils, because those 2 are in the kit. The lavender and the melaleuca are in the kit, and that is perfectly sufficient. Basil is like an extra level of it. So you don't want to overcomplicate their requirements to the point where they go, oh my goodness, well, that's clearly not in a kit. I have no idea what to get. You really want to help them to look at oils that will then be in the kit. So that's why that's a little bit of a learning procedure for you. Again, if it's respiratory issues, one of the top oils is eucalyptus, but eucalyptus is in air. So then you're going to go, okay, well, air has all these other respiratory support ones, so that would be your number 1. The emotions oil, so if somebody's, struggling with depression, anxiety, and things like that, frankincense, again in the kit, lavender, again in the kit, and lemon, again in the kit. All core ones to support with emotions. So that's where they would start, rather than just adding things like balance and all of these other things, which again in their heads is confusing, and for you as well it's more confusing, because you think, well, actually there's hundreds of these oils that they need, but that's not the case, is it? It's and really focusing on those core 10 oils.
And that's the point as well, is that when you start mentioning other things like that, that's when people go, oh, actually, okay, I need to go away and I have to have a good think about that, because I might need all of these oils. And then it's just so much of a overload. Total overload. Information overload is one of the number 1 reasons people will not sign up, because they're just confused. And that's why that close is so key, because then you're going to be able to talk through exactly what their needs are. So if somebody says to me, okay, my son gets ear infections regularly, and I will actually go through, similarly to you may have seen when you get to that kit
section of the online class, I will literally say what it is each of these oils can support your family with, like a really brief overview. And when you do that, so let's say they've mentioned a couple of things that they have going on, anxiety, energy. So you would focus when you're going through. So, okay, so these are the core essential oils, the top 10 core essential oils. And we're going to go through them together so that you can see how, if you had this kit, you're going to be able to support not only those elements, but so much more that may crop up. And then you go through the oils, mentioning things like lemon and peppermint to support with energizing, and just those little things going through. But again, so next week, if you want me to do, we can do it as if I'm doing just the close for people. I think that would be beneficial, so that it's recorded and you can kind of just watch it over. Then there's the sign up, and as it is online, we do have a downloadable version which is on the My Oil Biz, which means that they can literally download it and type it in. That is available. Some people who just don't like technology, you just send them the picture of the sign up form and you just say, all I need are the details on there. So just send those back to me, either in an email or a text, whichever's best for you. And that makes them feel more comfortable because they don't have to faff around with things. Once they get their oil, so the delivery time is still between 3 and 5 working days at the moment. Sometimes pushes a bit to 7 maybe, but it's still working. They're still doing a really, really good job. And then you want to arrange when they're signing up there and then. You need to book in that date for the wellness consult, because it will not happen if you don't book that date in. And the reason why that's really important is because you're then going to go and help them to open those bottles and kind of go for that next step. So, step 1, open your bottles, and then looking at, okay, what else have we got going on? Do you have anything else on your wish list? Like, do you want to start green cleaning? Do you want to start, reducing the toxic load in your skincare and things like that? And they will have wish lists that come up. You then set it up for them, because most people don't want to do it themselves, because it's a weird system. Any system that's new is a weird system. So it's a weird system. So it's a case of, okay, I need to, figure this out. And they don't want to take the time to. So it's doing that with them and setting up their LRP for them. That was a huge thing when I first started, that it would make me really nervous. It made me really nervous because I felt like I'm making them buy more, but that's not true. What you're doing is you're helping them in this next step to make sure that they are utilizing the fact that they have 25% off everything. And if they've made that step towards more natural healthcare, it is very, very likely that they are ready and want to learn more about green cleaning or natural skincare. So again, that's a really, really amazing one to support them with. Okay, so your homework. Everybody loves a bit of homework. So Jonathan's going to send you out a message on our group with some of these videos to watch. So watching the buckets and pipelines story is a really, really nice way to kind of understand the analogy of what we are trying to achieve.
Yeah, and it's done by Seth Resume. There's 3 videos on there. So the reason that I've created this little thing to send you is that at this time, this is kind of those people that you are seeing and that we are seeing, especially in their self-employment and the other jobs, that they have lost their employment already. Lost their income. And some people's, I was reading today on a group that somebody's just had their last contract pulled. This video is designed, or these videos, this message will be designed for you to forward in your own way, your own message, to say, look, I have found doTERRA and it has helped me with my emotional health, my physical health, whatever it might be. But this is the business opportunity. and it explains and it really dissects the compensation plan really simply, and how we earn money when we build it right and how when we do these steps. And so it's a great way of saying, look, I want you just to think about, there's a business opportunity for you now. And like at the moment, we are signing up people during this time. It's nothing has changed.
Nothing. No. In
And
fact,
so
I'd say it's almost increased at the moment.
yeah. So it's that message for you to be able to formulate in your own way and watch the video so that you'll see it and you'll enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. And then I would love for you to be able to share your own business story. So what is it you want your business to look like? How do you want it to be for yourself? And then it's planning, you know, your weekly schedule. And we can go as far as you saying, yes, I want to send it in to you. If that's what you want to do, then great, do that, send it in. If you're somebody who likes that accountability and you want somebody to go, okay, I saw in your business plan you wanted to achieve X, Y, Z, or in your weekly schedule you said you were going to do this, this, and this. How are you getting on? If that's the type of person that you are, then let's do that. If you're not and you prefer to kind of crack on in your own way, that's fine too. But basically what we wanted to have is like these weekly calls to give you that boost and that lift and some little tips that going forwards you can utilize into your business. So we also have Launch Camp that used to be a physical thing where you would go, and with Lindsay we're looking at implementing that into an online system going forwards, which I think would be really, really awesome to take part in. And but it's just finding what works for you and planning out what you want to achieve, and we will help you in that way, in whichever way you would like us to do. You know, contacting the people who are your customers, you know, contacting us, deciding on you want a 30-minute call each week to touch base, then that's what we're here for as well. So reach out to us if that's what you want to do, and I look forward to to supporting you in the best way we can. That is the last slide. But yeah, so what I'll do is I'll stop recording now so that you can open it up to all the questions, and stop share.